Hi all, happy Friday. So last week's post on legal mistakes I'd seen that week seemed to be helpful to a lot of you all, so I thought I would do it again. Honestly, I feel a little like a narc saying, you can't do this person did this wrong. Not my intention at all. I'm merely trying to provide some general awareness of mistakes that people are making so you can kind of think about your own business and make sure that you're not making the same mistakes. Okay, so the first mistake I saw relates to intellectual property. And when I talk about intellectual property, I mean any original work that you're creating. So maybe it's your product, maybe it is something that you use in the services that you provide to a client. It can even be your freebie, your marketing materials, whatever, original content that you're creating. So this service provider had intellectual property. She had templates that she had created, and she was using them in her provision of services for her clients. She had a contract with an intellectual property provision, and if any of you are service providers, you know that work that you're creating for a client is generally work for hire, and work for hire means that the intellectual property rights are transferred from you to the client. But what I've seen time and time again, in fact, with every contract I've reviewed, is they'll have intellectual property provisions. They'll talk about work for hire, but they don't say anything about those situations where a service provider is using her own intellectual property in the provision of services, and the contract will say that no ownership rights are transferred to the client, that some of the work is work for hire, but the service provider retains those intellectual property rights. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. And what happened with this service provider, unfortunately, was she didn't have that provision, and her client wanted to sell the service provider's original content. So the key here, the key takeaway is, yes, have an intellectual property provision in your contract. That's a no-brainer, but make sure it's a robust one and make sure it is drafted by an attorney that has a background in intellectual property law. Okay, next mistake I saw was a coach who was about to launch a course, and she did not have a contract for the course. She thought that somehow her one-on-one coaching agreement extended to the course. It unfortunately does not. What she needs is a terms of use. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with the terms of use, this goes into the checkout of your sales page, and it talks about things like access. Who can access the course? It obviously has things like your payment details, protects you in the event of late payments if they're paying in installments, protects you against payment default. It protects your intellectual property, and of course a myriad of other things, but those are just the basics. So a terms of use is an absolutely critical part of any online course. Okay, last mistake that I want to talk about that I saw this week, I actually see quite frequently, and that is the assumption that if you have an LLC, you have exclusivity. If you formed your LLC yourself, you know you registered your business name with your state if you're in the US. What that means if you have that LLC is no one else can officially register the same name as a business in your state. That's it. It doesn't give you the ability to prevent anyone from using the name unofficially in your state. It doesn't give you the right to prevent anybody from using the name anywhere in the US, anywhere in the world. It just merely means that no one else can officially register a business with the same name in your state. I will talk more about trademark rights in the coming weeks, but a trademark is the only way to really fully protect your brand comprehensively. Let me know if you have any questions. If any of these raised alarm bells in your mind and you want to talk through them further, or any other issues you might be having with your business, check out our Power Hours. I just launched VIP Power Hour Plus yesterday. With Power Hours, you have either 60 minutes one-on-one with me or 90 minutes for VIP. You have 1 week Voxer access after for any follow-up questions, 30% off all contract templates for the year, and with VIP, one contract template is included. Check it out.